Enigmatic Pursuit. Chapter 1: The Mysterious Murders. The fog hung heavy over the streets of London as Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson made their way through the dimly lit alleyways. A series of gruesome murders had plagued the city, leaving the authorities baffled and the citizens in a state of fear and paranoia. The victims, all found with a single black raven feather placed delicately on their lifeless bodies, bore a striking resemblance to the characters in the works of Edgar Allan Poe. The connection was undeniable, and it sent a chill down Holmes' spine. It seemed that a deranged individual was reenacting the tales of the famed American author, using his stories as inspiration for their heinous crimes. Holmes, renowned for his keen intellect and deductive reasoning, was determined to unravel the mystery behind these Poe-inspired murders. He knew that the key to solving the case lay within the twisted mind of the killer, and he was prepared to delve into the darkest corners of the human psyche to find the answers. The first victim, a young woman named Emily, was found in an alleyway near the docks. Her lifeless body lay sprawled on the cold cobblestones, a haunting expression frozen on her face. Holmes knelt beside her, carefully examining the crime scene for any clues that could shed light on the identity of the killer. As he meticulously inspected the area, Holmes noticed the black raven feather placed delicately on Emily's chest. It was a chilling detail, reminiscent of Poe's famous poem, The Raven. The feather seemed to be a deliberate calling card left by the killer, a macabre symbol of their twisted obsession with Poe's works. Holmes turned to Watson, his eyes gleaming with a mix of curiosity and determination. "Watson, my dear friend, it seems we have stumbled upon a most intriguing case. The killer is not only imitating Poe's stories, but also leaving behind clues that serve as a macabre homage to the author's works. We must unravel the mind of this deranged individual and put an end to their reign of terror." Watson nodded, his face a mask of concern. He had witnessed Holmes' brilliance in solving countless cases before, but this one felt different. The killer's connection to Poe's stories added an eerie layer of complexity to the investigation. It was as if they were playing a deadly game, using the words of a literary genius to guide their murderous spree. Over the next few days, Holmes and Watson combed through the city, searching for any leads that could lead them to the killer. They interviewed witnesses, studied the victims' backgrounds, and meticulously analyzed every detail of the crime scenes. But the killer remained elusive, leaving behind only the haunting echoes of Poe's tales. As the investigation progressed, Holmes became increasingly immersed in the world of Edgar Allan Poe. He studied the author's works, analyzing the themes, symbols, and psychological depths that permeated his stories. Holmes knew that to understand the killer, he needed to understand the mind of Poe himself. The streets of London became a labyrinth of mystery and intrigue, mirroring the twisted tales that had inspired the killer. Holmes and Watson followed every lead, no matter how obscure, determined to bring justice to the victims and put an end to the reign of terror that had gripped the city. As they ventured deeper into the dark underbelly of London, Holmes couldn't help but feel a sense of connection to Poe. Both men were driven by a relentless pursuit of truth, their minds consumed by the enigmas that surrounded them. It was as if they were two kindred spirits, separated by time but united by their insatiable curiosity. And so, the hunt for the Poe-inspired killer began in earnest. Holmes and Watson would face countless challenges, encounter unexpected twists and turns, and confront the darkest aspects of human nature. But they were determined to solve the case, to unravel the mind of the killer, and to bring an end to the reign of terror that had cast a shadow over the city. Little did they know that the journey ahead would test their wits, push them to their limits, and force them to confront their own demons. The legacy of Edgar Allan Poe loomed large, casting a haunting presence over the investigation. Holmes and Watson would need all their skills, intuition, and courage to navigate the treacherous path that lay before them. Chapter 2: The Raven's Clue. As Holmes and Watson meticulously examined the crime scenes, they discovered a common thread that connected the victims. Each had received a cryptic message written in blood, quoting lines from Poe's The Raven. It was a chilling reminder that the killer was not only imitating Poe's stories, but also taunting the authorities with their knowledge of the author's works. Holmes, intrigued by this new development, delved deeper into the symbolism and meaning behind The Raven. He analyzed the poem line by line, searching for clues that could lead him to the identity of the killer. The raven, a symbol of death and darkness, seemed to hold the key to unlocking the mystery. The raven, with its haunting refrain of "nevermore," spoke of loss, grief, and the relentless presence of death. Holmes knew that the killer was not merely a copycat but a disturbed individual who had internalized the themes and emotions of Poe's works. To understand the mind of the killer, Holmes needed to understand the significance of the raven in their twisted psyche. As Holmes and Watson delved deeper into their investigation, they discovered that the victims had all been avid readers of Poe's works. The killer seemed to have carefully selected individuals who shared a deep appreciation for the author's macabre tales. It was as if they were creating a twisted connection, a bond forged through the shared love of Poe's dark and haunting stories. Holmes realized that the killer was not only reenacting the scenes from Poe's stories but also embodying the psychological torment that permeated the author's works. The victims were chosen not just at random, but with a purpose, as if they were characters in a twisted narrative crafted by the killer's deranged mind. The detective's mind raced, connecting the dots between the victims, the crime scenes, and the lines from The Raven. He knew that the killer was leaving behind clues, breadcrumbs that would lead them closer to the truth. Holmes meticulously analyzed the messages, deciphering the hidden meanings and unraveling the layers of symbolism. One message, left on the body of a young man named Jonathan, read, "Quoth the raven, nevermore." Holmes pondered the significance of this particular line. In Poe's poem, the raven repeats the word "o nevermore," a reminder of the narrator's inability to escape the grip of grief and loss. It was a chilling message, suggesting that the killer believed their victims were trapped in a never-ending cycle of torment. With each new clue, Holmes and Watson grew closer to unraveling the identity of the killer. They discovered that the victims had all frequented a particular library, known for its extensive collection of Poe's works. The library became their next destination, a place where they hoped to find answers hidden within the pages of the author's tales. As they combed through the library's shelves, Holmes and Watson stumbled upon a hidden compartment in a bookcase. Inside, they found a meticulously crafted journal, filled with handwritten notes and sketches. It was the diary of the killer, a window into their twisted mind. Holmes carefully flipped through the pages, studying the writings and drawings. The entries revealed a mind consumed by darkness, a fascination with death, and an obsession with Poe's works. The killer's words echoed the themes of Poe's stories, their thoughts a twisted reflection of the author's macabre imagination. With each passing entry, Holmes pieced together the puzzle. The killer, a disturbed individual with a deep understanding of Poe's works, believed themselves to be the embodiment of the author's tormented characters. They saw their victims as players in a grand narrative, a tragic tale of life and death. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Holmes and Watson were determined to bring the killer to justice. They knew that the game had reached a critical point, and they needed to act swiftly before more lives were claimed. The hunt for the Poe-inspired killer had intensified, and the stakes had never been higher. Chapter 3: The Twisted Web Unraveled. As the investigation into the Poe-inspired murders continued, Holmes and Watson found themselves drawn deeper into a twisted web of darkness and obsession. Chapter 3 would prove to be a pivotal point in their quest to unmask the killer and put an end to the reign of terror that had gripped London. Holmes, armed with the killer's diary, meticulously analyzed each entry, searching for any clues that could lead them to the identity of the perpetrator. The diary revealed a mind consumed by Poe's tales, with references to characters, symbols, and themes woven throughout the pages. It was a chilling glimpse into the twisted psyche of the killer. One entry in particular caught Holmes' attention. It spoke of a hidden lair, a place where the killer felt most connected to Poe's works. The entry mentioned a dilapidated building on the outskirts of the city, a place shrouded in darkness and mystery. Holmes knew that this was their next destination, the key to unlocking the secrets that lay within the killer's mind. With Watson by his side, Holmes set out to explore the abandoned building. As they stepped through the creaking doorway, they were greeted by a scene straight out of Poe's tales. The walls were adorned with macabre artwork, depicting scenes of death, despair, and madness. It was a chilling sight, a physical manifestation of the killer's twisted obsession. As they ventured further into the building, Holmes and Watson discovered a hidden room, concealed behind a bookshelf. Inside, they found a collection of Poe's works, meticulously annotated and marked with the killer's handwritten notes. It was a shrine to the author, a place where the killer sought solace and inspiration for their heinous acts. Among the books, Holmes discovered a hidden compartment containing a series of letters. Each letter was addressed to the victims, written in a handwriting that matched the killer's diary. The letters revealed the killer's twisted motives, their belief that by reenacting Poe's stories, they were bringing the author's dark visions to life. Holmes and Watson realized that they were dealing with a highly intelligent and deeply disturbed individual. The killer's knowledge of Poe's works went beyond mere admiration, it was an obsession that had consumed their very being. To catch the killer, Holmes knew that he needed to think like them, to understand the twisted logic that guided their actions. With the evidence gathered from the hidden room, Holmes and Watson returned to their base of operations. They meticulously analyzed the letters, searching for any hidden messages or patterns that could lead them closer to the killer's identity. It was a race against time, as the killer's next move could be imminent. As they delved deeper into the letters, Holmes noticed a recurring theme, the concept of duality. The killer seemed to be fixated on the idea of two sides, the light and the dark, the rational and the irrational. It was a reflection of Poe's own fascination with the duality of human nature, a theme that permeated his stories. Holmes realized that the killer was not only imitating Poe's tales, but also embodying the conflicting forces within the author's works. They saw themselves as both the tormented protagonist and the malevolent antagonist, locked in a perpetual struggle between good and evil. It was a chilling revelation, one that shed light on the killer's twisted psyche. Armed with this newfound understanding, Holmes and Watson set out to narrow down the list of suspects. They delved into the lives of individuals who had a deep connection to Poe's works, searching for any signs of obsession or erratic behavior. It was a painstaking process, but they knew that the killer's identity was within their grasp. Chapter 4: The Final Confrontation. As Holmes and Watson delved deeper into their investigation, they found themselves on the brink of uncovering the true identity of the Poe-inspired killer. Chapter 4 would prove to be the climax of their relentless pursuit, as they prepared for the final confrontation that would bring an end to the reign of terror that had gripped London. Using the clues gathered from the hidden lair and the letters, Holmes and Watson narrowed down their list of suspects. They meticulously analyzed the lives of individuals who had a deep connection to Poe's works, searching for any signs of obsession or erratic behavior. It was a painstaking process, but they knew that the killer's identity was within their grasp. One name stood out among the rest: Edgar Blackwood, a reclusive writer known for his dark and twisted tales. Blackwood had long been an admirer of Poe's works, often drawing inspiration from the author's macabre imagination. Holmes believed that Blackwood's obsession had crossed a dangerous line, leading him to become the Poe-inspired killer they had been hunting. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Holmes and Watson set out to confront Blackwood at his secluded estate. The atmosphere was thick with tension as they approached the imposing mansion, its dark silhouette looming against the night sky. They knew that they were walking into the lair of a disturbed mind, prepared to face the darkness that awaited them. Inside the mansion, they were greeted by an eerie silence. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, the walls adorned with Blackwood's own twisted artwork. It was a chilling sight, a physical manifestation of the darkness that had consumed the writer's soul. As they ventured deeper into the mansion, Holmes and Watson discovered a hidden study, filled with books and manuscripts. It was here that they found Blackwood, hunched over a desk, his eyes filled with a mixture of madness and obsession. He looked up at them, a sinister smile playing on his lips. Holmes, ever the master of deduction, engaged Blackwood in a battle of wits. He confronted the writer with the evidence they had gathered, laying bare the twisted motives and the meticulous planning behind the Poe-inspired murders. Blackwood, reveling in his own delusions, taunted Holmes, believing himself to be the embodiment of Poe's tormented characters. The tension in the room reached its peak as Holmes presented Blackwood with the final piece of evidence, a letter that linked him directly to the crimes. It was a moment of truth, where the line between reality and fiction blurred, and the true nature of the killer was laid bare. In a fit of rage and desperation, Blackwood lunged at Holmes, a knife glinting in his hand. But Holmes, ever the master of observation and deduction, had anticipated the attack. With lightning-fast reflexes, he disarmed Blackwood and subdued him, bringing an end to his reign of terror. As Blackwood lay defeated, Holmes and Watson apprehended him, ensuring that he would face justice for his heinous crimes. The Poe-inspired killer had been unmasked, his twisted obsession with the author's works laid bare for all to see. With the case solved and the killer behind bars, Holmes and Watson reflected on the darkness that had consumed Blackwood's soul. They knew that the power of literature, when taken to extremes, could lead to unimaginable horrors. It was a reminder of the fine line between inspiration and obsession, between the written word and the actions it can inspire. Chapter 5: Reflections and Lessons Learned. With the Poe-inspired killer apprehended and justice served, Holmes and Watson took a moment to reflect on the harrowing events that had unfolded throughout their investigation. Chapter 5 would serve as a time for introspection, as they contemplated the lessons learned and the impact of their actions. As they sat in Holmes' study, surrounded by the remnants of their investigation, the weight of the case settled upon them. They had witnessed firsthand the destructive power of obsession and the lengths to which a twisted mind could go. It was a stark reminder of the darkness that lurks within humanity, waiting to be unleashed. Holmes, ever the analytical thinker, began to dissect the events that had led them to this point. He pondered the role that literature played in shaping the human psyche, both for good and for ill. The power of words, he realized, could be a double-edged sword, capable of inspiring greatness or descending into madness. The case had also highlighted the importance of understanding the human mind. Holmes marveled at the intricate web of thoughts and emotions that had driven the killer to commit such heinous acts. He recognized that to truly understand the depths of human nature, one must be willing to explore the darkest corners of the mind. Watson, too, found himself grappling with the aftermath of the case. He contemplated the fragility of the human psyche and the delicate balance between sanity and madness. The experience had left an indelible mark on his soul, a reminder of the darkness that can consume even the most seemingly ordinary individuals. Together, Holmes and Watson discussed the impact of their actions on the lives of those affected by the killer's reign of terror. They acknowledged the pain and suffering endured by the victims and their families, vowing to do everything in their power to bring them some semblance of closure and justice. The case had also revealed the power of collaboration and the strength that comes from working together towards a common goal. Holmes and Watson marveled at the synergy between their unique skills and perspectives, recognizing that their partnership was a force to be reckoned with. As they reflected on the case, Holmes and Watson recognized the importance of vigilance in the face of darkness. They understood that evil can take many forms and that their work as detectives would never truly be done. They vowed to remain ever watchful, ready to confront the shadows that threatened to engulf their world. In the aftermath of the case, Holmes and Watson also took the opportunity to educate the public about the dangers of obsession and the potential consequences of unchecked literary admiration. They wrote articles and gave lectures, warning others of the fine line between inspiration and obsession, and the need for self-awareness and moderation.